Ichigo awakens by Talacha in Chapter 44, Marriage of the Clans. With Ichigo was making his way to the Donkai, carrying with him a cart containing preservation capsules that held the bodies of the defeated Rancor inside. Seeing as he was heading into Soul Society, he was given the task of escorting the remains until Squad 12 could recover them and begin their examinations. Ichigo often wondered whether or not to kill the one known as Shalong Kufang, if only to spare him the suffering he'll endure with Mayuri. He forced himself to push that aside, knowing that war was not fought on morals, only power. If they wanted a chance, he would turn a blind eye to certain matters. Uryu informed him and Ishin about the matter with Quincy's, but it would have to wait until later. They needed to prepare for either capture or assassination. Turn them was a possibility, but they'd need the situation under their complete control, which brought his attention back to Ulquiorra. Whether he could turn some of the Rancor to their side, they did not seem to be mindless beasts that strove to quench an unseen hunger, but aside from his friend among them, they all seemed driven by the desire to destroy. He was brought out of his musing as the black cat approached him. "I'm going to see Tatsuki, I take it?" he asked, knowing that it was Yoruichi. The black cat looked up at her student and nodded. "Yes, I'm done with my vacation," she said in her masculine tone. Caught up with Soifon, wiped the Onmitsukiyoto back into shape, and spent the rest of the time trying to escape my clingy brother. She explained to the hybrid with what seemed like a tired smile. "He's really clingy, I noticed," Ichigo responded, getting ready to continue on his way. She did good against her opponent the other day. "I've heard him." The cat had a gleam of pride in her eye. "Now to make sure she does better, also let Ishin know that the paperwork was finished and Lisa is now his co-third seat. The old man establishes some more martial law, but he can't get rid of paperwork." The hybrid grumbled as he stated to leave. "Records are important, Ichigo," she told him as they went their separate ways. "Even I have to admit that." Ichigo continued on the light at the end, showing him the opening to Soul Society, where his future wife was waiting for him. Byakuya and him talked a few times after establishing the political marriage between him and Rukia about clan politics. He had a few complimentary things to say about his own clan's elders. Ichigo just wished that he wouldn't be expected to be on anyone's leash. He was in a precautious enough position as it was. He went through the Sonkemon and into Sacerdote, which took a massive change since the last time he was there. "Huh?" he said in mild surprise. "Progress." He saw the citizens of the Rukon district interacting happily with many Soul Reapers. One was even playing with a bunch of kids, and another seemed to be tutoring them in harnessing Reishi. The buildings in the Rukon looked a lot better, and the unease seemed to have dissipated from the atmosphere. He decided to take a chance and jumped, using his temperature controller Reishi to soar into the sky. He soon passed the point where the spirit bearer was supposed to be and took in the sights. From the view, he saw a number of Shinigami acting as police officers, preventing thefts and murders, all the ways to the 20th district on all sides. Jidambo and the other gatekeepers seemed to be reassigned as prison guards, because into some large buildings where many people were shackled with many other Soul Reapers, and punishment squad members patrolled the area. He slowly drifted back down to his original position, where a small group was heading towards his cargo, which had gained a small audience. He landed just as a guy with horns in a lab coat reached the cart. "Lieutenant Kurosaki, I am Akan, and third seat of Squad 12, he said with a nod. We're here for the specimens." Ichigo felt uneasy referring to the cognizant beings like that, living or dead, but he forced it down. "Here you go. Give Urahara my regards," he said as he left the group and made his way to the Kuchiki Manor, where Kokaku and Byakuya waited. Last noches, Grimshaw was furious, beaten and humiliated by how badly his self-imposed mission went. He lost his fraction, each one losing their fight in a most honorable one-on-one battle, and was punished for his disobedience. He had both his arms cut off and was subjected to a defenseless beating, courtesy of the fifth Espada, Noritra Gilga. After he was thoroughly punished for his failure, did Aizen allow him to have his arms returned and his rank was stripped from him. Tosen is still crippled from his fight from their escape from society, called this justice, stating that Grimjaw had no reason but to sate his own bloodlust. He wandered through the deserts of Huecomundo, choosing solitude to reflect on his life, determined and planning to get his vengeance against that damn hybrid. I did warn you, Grimjaw, he heard from behind, turning to see Okura standing on dune above him. I recognized his potential long ago. Now he's had time to refine it. Most of us are still relatively rough in comparison. Is your point, or are you just trying to piss me off? The panther growled. Okura gave him an intimidating look, freezing the fallen espada. What are you willing to give up? The bat asked, the air becoming heavier, reflecting the energy of the vassal lord. I have a secret, an ace in the hole. I have it for my eventual fight with Ichigo, but I will teach it to you if you tell me what you are willing to sacrifice for it. Grimjaw was stunned. A chance to gain power, but at a cost. Would his pride allow that? How much did he hate Ichigo Kurosaki? What have I left to lose? He asked after a few seconds. I've lost my rank, my fraction, the respect of my fellow rancor. What else can I lose? You desire to become king? Okura stated simply, shocking Grimjaw again. Is your desire to destroy Ichigo so great that you abandon the desire to be the king? Is your thirst for destruction that powerful? Grimjaw's mind was racing. The drive to become the king of Hollows was all he had left for his former group. They followed him because they believed he could become the strongest. Now here was Okura, someone that reached a point he never could before, and offered to train him at the cost of his desire to rule. Was he ready for that? Would he give up that final aspect of his only life to defeat Ichigo? I abandon my desire to be king for my hunger for destruction, he finally said, earning a rare smirk from the empty rancor. Then let's begin. Aizen study. Aizen watched the recordings of the fights between Ishin Squad 15 and his own rancor. On one hand, he was getting more data on his enemies. On the other, and they made it clear that he would need better quality soldiers. Even Gideons would need to be brought in after he turned them into Ajuchasa. He wouldn't be as angry, but his slow progress with his Hoku was grating on his nerves. If he had Urahara's as well, he could speed up the process of his rancor. He didn't finish the one he made to stop Yamamoto, but for now, he could either focus on strengthening his forces or augmenting his Hoku, the small jewel pulse in his hand, responding to its master's Reitsu. Very well, he said after a moment of contemplating. Train it shall be, and maybe another distraction to keep them busy. He turned his focus back on the hybrid, actually smiling at the boy. I'm curious. I do need to get you out of my way. He switched to the screen over to Ichigo's sisters coming home after a day off of work. SRDI, a sub-basement research lab. Urahara was watching the monitors before him with great intensity, absorbing and analyzing every scrap of data that his scans were getting. The rancor made it into their custody, and they quickly got to work, dissecting, scanning, finding out anything he could. Maruri got his hands dirty and digging through the insides of the dead rancor, while Urahara performed multiple scans on the only living specimen. He promised himself that he would give up on the hollification process experiments that led to so much trouble, but some small parts of himself still demanded an answer to strengthen the Soul Reapers for the coming battle. The Visors could be considered failures in that regard, as their power increase is limited to the control of their inner hollow. Ichigo was a better example of his ideal, but that was almost impossible to replicate without more and complementarity. And so here he was analyzing data from the other side of the barrier breakdown. That Fullbringer needs to come in for more testing, Maruri at least stating, while looking at the ruptured mess that was once Edrata. And I need to give him an earful about keeping specimens intact. Maruri continued, but Kisi gave him no mind. He recognized the trace energy signature that was undoubtedly from the Hoku, but different from his own. Still unsure about that one. Maru, you shut up and come here, Urahara ordered his lieutenant. Maru removed his bloodied gloves to join Urahara, muttering about research opportunities without captain responsibilities before joining his superior. Remember the files on my Hokyukyu? Of course, we went over those millions of times to figure out how to seal it up, the deranged scientist said before looking at the screens and responding in surprise. And that's different. Kiski started typing away on his keyboard, sending a message to Tessa and Yamamoto. He needed his Hokyukyu to confirm his troubled theory. It was over an hour before the Kido Master and Captain Commander came to the location. This had better be important, Kisuke, Yamamoto growled, not wanting one of the most dangerous and volatile creations of recent memory out of his seal for too long. The particular seal we've made is incredibly taxing to do and undo. Desai chimed in, carrying with him the box that held the forbidden device. Believe me, Urahara said with an ease. I pray I'm wasting your time. He grabbed the box and removed his Hokyukyu before placing it in a scanner. After a couple of minutes, the results were coming in, and he was not happy that they did. Just how depraved is that man? Kisuke groaned as he collapsed in his chair. These scans tell me that the Hokyukyu is actually sentient, he said, shocking everyone in the room. When I first had the idea of the Hokyukyu, I knew I needed a vast amount of reishi, pure, unaltered reishi. So, utilizing a valley of screams, I harnessed the power and made my Hokyukyu. I succeeded, but it was inactive, almost as if it was sleeping. However, my method was only one possibility. Aizen took the other. He returned the Hokyukyu to the box and glad. I used pure untapped energy while he must have harvested from the souls around us. Shinigami Hollow, trying to balance out the mixture and leaving him with an awakened Hokyukyu. Yamamoto squeezed his skin, furious that such an acts were going on without his notice. The age really was starting to get to him if something like that escaped him. I'd say don't worry, because to properly use any Hokyukyu requires a massive layer 2, closer to Yamamoto in scale, but Ichigo and Aizen have proven that they have enough to use it. Ichigo when we tricked Aizen, and Aizen with these Arankar, he hung his head in exhaustion. The discovery reminded him of what kind of being Aizen was. Return the Hokyukyu to its seal. Gonna finally ordered. We step up our preparations and anticipate the worst. With Ichigo's preparation against the Sparta, we may have a chance while Aizen bolsters his forces as well, giving me ample time to train and prepare Ichigo for the coming battle. For now, keep silent about this, especially since weddings are meant to be happy occasions. Considering it's a case, I doubt it, Mariria said, surprising everyone. What? They're boring? Kuchiki's manner. Ichigo made his way through the hollowed halls of the Kuchiki household, noted as the keepers of Soul Society history. He immediately remembered why he detested being in the building as he went past many of the house servants and other members of the family. Many of the lower members of the house looked at him in reference, a mighty warrior that would save and change society for the better. Most of the more dull nobles held disdain that a half-breed commoner would dare walk in their presence. The smarter ones looked at him with a prize, a piece on their board game of petty politics. He even heard one say that street rat Rukia has actually proven useful for once. Byakuya had his respect. He was alright with marrying Rukia, but he wanted nothing to do with these stuck-up bastards. The Shiba family was that, a family. The Kuchikis made him feel like he should watch his back every second he was there. He heard the door when he heard Kyoku and Byakuya talking. Won't be happy about this, he heard Kyoku saying, slight concern in her voice. I don't care, Byakuya said in his firm tone, showing the same steely resolve when he swore to uphold the law. I am the head of this clan, and it will be as I command. He opened the door and interrupted the two heads, feeling this matter was probably about him. Ichigo Kurosaki, Byakuya greeted his soon-to-be brother-in-law. Byakuya, Kukaku, Ichigo returned, greeting the two nobles. What was that about him? We are planning to anger the elders, Byakuya said, almost chuckling. We've agreed on the place being in West Rukon, and open for anyone to attend. It'd be a nice play. It'd be a nice chance for common folk to enjoy the festivities, but some of the nobles won't approve. Kukaku added, speaking much more smoothly. Too bad it's not their call. She chuckled, earning a rare smirk from the sixth captain. On to the other matters. It's time for you to meet my clan's tailor for your robes. Ichigo groaned, not wanting to stand still for hours on end while putting on a much heavier set of clothes he's only going to wear for, well, not one day, as he had his other lovers. But still, the door opened and he was expecting one of the maids to be there to escort him to the tailor's. He wasn't expecting his bride to be. Brother, are you here? I look okay, Uchika said as she came into the room. She wore a white wedding kimono with a snowflake pattern that shimmered in the light like a fresh blanket of snow. She had her hair cut into a cropped bob hanging around her face. She seemed more mature as well. Like her training with Ukitake made her grow. She changed so much in such a short amount of time. Ichigo, she stuttered, and clearly not expecting him, as her face burned into a surprised blush. How do I look? She asked timidly, smiling slightly at seeing her friend and asking timidly, smiling slightly at seeing her friend and future husband. She was surprised again when he took her hand and clasped it in his own while looking straight into her eyes. Marry me, Rukia, he yelled out suddenly, making Rukia's entire face turn red as she could look completely serious. The moment was interrupted when Kokaku punched her cousin in the back of the head. You're already getting married, you dumbass, she yelled out as crass as ever. Ichigo was pulled away by one of Kuchi's maids while Rukia was still frozen in shock, redder than Renji's hair. Kokaku then decided to have some fun. Yes, Rukia, you do look lovely, though I bet you're more excited about your wedding night, she teased, somehow making Rukia turn redder and emitting steam from her ears. Yarenkuku told me how you got a preview. Now just imagine all that long thick. She was interrupted by a swift crack to the head, courtesy of Byakuya. Don't be so vulgar, Shiba-san, he scolded the tomboy who was rubbing her sudden lump. And Rukia, he saw his sister passed out on the floor from what seemed to be overheating. Why am I letting this happen again? 1 week later, Shiba Clan Estate, parties were had, people were gathered, and a good number of the male captains and lieutenants sported a couple black eyes and swollen cheeks. Ichigo's bachelor party ended in violence. Ichigo's friend and family was there as well, leaving Lisa to lead the squad. Ishin was glowing with pride. Yuzu and Karin happy to see their family grow, and Masaki, who wore reishi handcuffs and was gagged after she somehow started to breathe fire. She was still glaring at everyone. He stood in front of a small altar, wearing a midnight black kimono with dark silver bottom, with Chad and Uryu at his side, who insisted that his formal attire would be Quincy appropriate, and somehow got his way. When the sermon began, Genryasai led the procession with Rukia and Byakuya trailing behind him, and the Kuchi clan elders following behind. Yamato took his place at the altar while Rukia stood next to her soon-to-be husband. He gave a standard speech of love and union and a dawn of change for all of the Soul Society. Ichigo and Rukia exchanged sake and the rings while making their vows. By the laws of Soul Society and my authority as Captain Commander of the Gotai 15, I now pronounce you man and wife. Yamato spoke out for all to hear. Now, you are Ichigo and Rukia Kurosaki. There was much applause, but Ichigo heard a few surprised gasps. He looked at the Kuchiki elders, all wearing stained smiles. You may kiss the bride. Rukia pulled Ichigo in for a passionate kiss, focusing his attention on her, then throwing the bouquet, aiming for Ichigo's other lovers. It shocked everyone when Nemu caught it and was next to Uryu, leaning her head on his shoulders. Even Yoruichi commented on the girl's speed, all a nice distraction as they head for the reception. But Ichigo still felt the glares from the Kuchiki elders. After he managed to pull his father, Byakuya, and Kokaku away, he demanded answers. Ichigo, his father started, in marriage like these, the one from the lower ranked families usually marries into the higher ranked ones, meaning you'd be Ichigo Kuchiki instead of Shiba or Kurosaki. Ichigo took a brief moment to shudder, much to the annoyance of Byakuya, but Byakuya had other ideas. The Kuchiki head took over. Many nobles tend to be short-sighted, he said with a calm seriousness, caring only about their own gains. Unfortunately, my own clan elders are guilty of the same crime. He looked at his new brother and explained his situation. You represent a great change in society and are practically guaranteed to become a leader in society in the future. Their aim is to either get into your good graces or hold you under a heavy threat, like being ready to have your wife killed at a moment's notice. Ichigo has a widening shock, realizing this was why he felt he needed to watch his back in the Kuchiki manner. So, Rukia married into your family, putting her under the protection of the Shiba family and a home to be safe in. Kukaku chimed in with a victorious smile on her face. Since most of the squads got re-inspected, it became harder to find a strong and competent enough Shinigami that could be bought, and the Kuchiki elders would never sink so low as to go to the lower districts to find an assassin. Effectively, Byakuya started again. You have no obligation to my family, and Rukia will be safe with the Shibas, he said, taking a drink of wine. And since any and all dealings between our clans will be done between Kukaku and myself, they have been removed from much of any new power and authority they may have been gotten. And don't you fear reprisal? Ichigo asked. Suddenly the air around him grew cold as Byakuya exerted his power. I am a captain of the 15 court guard squads and head of the Kuchiki family, he said coldly. I fear no man or underhanded attempt on my person. You needn't worry about me. Later that night, at a secret meeting of the Kuchiki elders, the damn brat, one of them growled out, reflecting the attitude of most of his fellows. Who does he think he is? A perfect chance to raise Kuchi clan to a state above the other four nobles' house, and he just throws it away, said another calmer but still angrier. He insults the entire clan and the traditions that have made us strong. It was bad enough he brought those two peasants into the clan, a third said, speaking in disgust of Rukia and her late sister. Now he does this. What next? Burning down the historical archives? No, not Byakuya, one spoke out, with enough authority that the others seemed to look at him as the elder. It's that filthy hybrid Ichigo Kurosaki. He's responsible for all of this. Byakuya would still be compliant if he never appeared, and everything would be as it should. So we remove him. Another said, already planning something, prevent him from corrupting Byakuya any further. Ichigo Kurosaki is the disciple of Genryu Yamamoto, one almost shouted in shock. Who is capable of changing that? Not all of the powerful warriors in society became Shinigami, the leader reminded them, and some that are still bearing an overpowering grudge against certain members of the Gotai. I have an associate who has an idea in creating the means to take care of our problems, he said, thinking back to his ally in a clan second only to any of the four great nobles, Gyakoku Kumai. In illustrated Godai to Soul Reapers, Ichigo's bachelor party. All the notable men of the Gotai of the court guard gathered together to celebrate Ichigo's last night as an unmarried man. There were food, drinks, music. Kinpachi wasn't trying to fight someone yet. Imayuru was tied up in the timeout corner for asking Ichigo for some kind of sample that got the scientist the black eye. Not as well as Kinpachi's, but after the weeks of battle and dangers, people were glad to just unwind. Then Yushiro brought out a massive chocolate cake. Here you go, Ichigo, he cheered, holding out a cake slicer. Enjoy the cake. Yoruichi Nisama made it herself, just for you. Ichigo was so confused by the image that he never noticed Urahara and Tesai come out from behind it with a chair and several high-level blinding seals. That explains so much and yet so little, he said, looking at the confection cutter in his hand and the cake with slight worry. I'm not sure why, but I don't want to cut it, he said just before Tesai and Urahara got him on the chair. Too bad, he said with glee as dozens of Kaido's restraint spells locked him in place. You don't need to cut it, ladies. He knocked on the cake and out popped Rankiku and Kukaku with cat ears and tails, wearing micro bikinis. Remember, Ichigo, Look, but don't touch you. Urahara said while the two bustiest women in society danced for Ichigo's arousal/torment. Wanna get out of here? I'm kicking all your asses! He yelled out, straining against the seals. End of chapter 44.